Are you ready to learn about mollusks today?
Yeah,
Hi, I'm Cadence,
and I'm Ava.
and we're gonna be teaching you guys about Mollusks today. So, mollusks have distinguishing characteristics, and some of those are the mantle cavity, the shell, the visceral mass, the foot, and the radula, which those are terms we will cover later in the presentation. Um, Mollusks also live in freshwater, marine water, and terrestrial habitats. They're also known for their soft bodies. The first subgroup we have today is chitons. Chitons are marine mollusks, and these vary in size in the class of Polyplacophora. Chitons have shells that protect them, and the shell lets them flex upwards on over uneven surfaces. The shell also lets them curl up into a ball when they are off of hard surfaces. Chitons live on hard surfaces and they live in marine waters as well. Some of the predators that chitons have to worry about are humans, seagulls, sea stars, crabs, lobsters, and fish. So going over the anatomy of chitons. So just like us as humans, we have an esophagus, stomach, and intestine. We both have the same kind of digestive system. Um, Chitons have shell plates, which are 8 plates, and this is like their coat of armor. So this is what protects them, and this is what keeps them safe while they're in the water and from all the predators that they do have. Um, Chitons have an aorta, which is we also have as humans, which pumps blood to the heart. They have a gonad, which is a gland that produces gametes and hormones, which is how they reproduce. They have gonopore, which is just a genital pore. They have nephridia, which is an invertebrate organ, and it can compare to humans' kidneys. And this just helps remove the metabolic waste. They have a three-chambered heart, and in that three-chambered heart, they have a pericardial cavity, which is just like the heart wall. They have a foot, which helps them move around. They have a digestive gland, which helps with the digestive system. They have a mouth to ingest food, and then they have a girdle, which is the shell, and it has 8 valves. And they have a mantle, which is the body wall that covers the visceral mass. And so this is really important in chitons, and it helps just protect them as well.
So moving on to bivalves, there are clams, oysters, mussels, and scallops in this category. These mollusks have an external covering that is used to protect their internal soft bodies. And their role in the aquatic ecosystem is by filtering water and serving as habitat and prey for the rest of the sea life. Some predators that bivalves have are humans, birds, fish, crabs, starfish, sea urchins, other mollusks, and flatworms. And they also live in saltwater and in freshwater. The anatomy of a bivalve, um, starting with a hinge, is that is the valves that are connected to the shell. And then they also have a mouth, and they have anterior and posterior abductors, which are muscles that connect two valves, contracting the shell to open and close. They have gills, which are for feeding and breathing, and their shell, which is for the protecting. Um, the exhalant and the inhalant siphons are the tube-like structure that lets the water flow through. And then a couple of things that aren't pictured is the umbo, which is the highest part of the valve's shell. And we also have the mantle, which is the soft tissue that is responsible for extracting calcium. And they also have no brain.
So this is our third subgroup, and it's called gastropods. And we know them more as slugs and snails. So these are pretty common. I feel like everyone's seen a slug or a snail. And these can actually live on in water, but they can also live on land. So in water, they can live in salt water, fresh water, and deep in the ocean. But on land, they can live in gardens, woodlands, deserts, mountains, small ditches, rivers, lakes, flats, literally like everything you can think of. And then what's cool about gastropods is that they're the most diversified class in the mollusks. Um, and then gastropods for reproduction, they lay eggs to reproduce, kind of like a lot of other animals that we know. So we're gonna be covering the anatomy of gastropods, and they have a lot of the same anatomy as humans, and that includes like the stomach, the kidney, they have a heart, they have a liver, a lung, they have a respiratory pore, which is just like our respiratory system. They have an eye to see, they have a mouth to eat, and then some of the things that they have that humans don't have is they have the vas deferens, which is the male genitals. They have the foot, like all the that's a very common thing with all the mollusks, is they have a foot which defines them, and that just helps them move around. They have an oviduct, which is the female reproductive organ, and that's the upper part of it. And they also have a lower female reproductive organ, and that's the dart sac. And then they have a ganglia, which is part of their nervous system. And then they have a tentacle, which is their sensory organ. So that's how they smell and taste and move around and see. So that's like their five senses, but for them, it's a tentacle. And then they, of course, have a shell that protects all their internal organs and just protects them from any predators that they may have.
So these are the cephalopods, mostly known as pretty much all types of squid. And these are like small, bright, blue-eyed squid. These squid live around 2,000 to 3,000 feet under the water. And with them living so deep, this means that they don't really have many ways to protect themselves from predators. Um, but a way that they can protect themselves is they can release a sticky bioluminescent mucus substance to scare off predators. Cephalopods also can change colors and patterns in milliseconds for signaling or hiding. And the anatomy of a cephalopod, they have a mantle which protects their internal organs, which is in common with all the mollusks. And they have a fin which can kind of flop around in the water to help them move. They have a stomach and gills, which the gills are for breathing and feeding. Um, they have an ink gland. They have a funnel, which kind of helps restrict their movement with each other, and it's connected to the mantle. They have a radula, which is their tongue. They have a systematic and a brachial heart, and they have a liver. Um, they also have 8 arms with the suckers on all one sides, and then they have the 2 extended arms that help them collect for food. So, for the evolutionary history, studies revealed a dichotomy of the phylum, resulting in mollusks without shells, mollusks with multiple shells, and other unishelled groups challenged traditional hypotheses that originally stated mollusks gradually evolved complex phenotypes from simple worm-like animals. However, it is now being studied that these types of mollusks are a much more simplified group. So for the bivalves, they are mussels, and they're considered, or for the mussels, they are considered to be the ecosystem engineers, as they are used to form extensive beds that create habitats for other organisms, and they can also provide coastal protections with the oysters that are part of the bivalves group.
So for gastropods, they are vital components to a healthy ecosystem as they are freshwater creatures. They help with decomposition, soil building, and providing food to wildlife.
For the chitons, they benefit by being important glaciers and rocky and terrestrial habitats, and they're also capable of affecting their community's structure because they are locally high abundances.
And then squids are a part of the cephalopods, and they are both important prey and predators. They have large eyes, which keep them away from the sperm whales, but also are a large species that are strong hunters in the Eastern Pacific. These parts of the food chain have a powerful impact on their ecosystem. A few ways we can see the topics of interest and evolving through ecosystems is through fossil records, and then the anatomy of mollusks. And also, research has been done showing the growth of mollusks, behavioral and intelligence changes. And then these are all the sites we used for all our information.